Okay, here's my situation. Well, there's two things that I hate about YouTube videos: people that put a bunch of crap, they don't get to the point before they get into the story, and the other ones, they don't go basic enough. Sometimes for a person like me, I'm not an expert at this stuff by any means. I got a little help from a friend of mine, and here's my situation. I have a Norcold RV refrigerator. I'm not sure. I left it on when it was on an angle. Somehow the ammonia or something goes to the side, which causes a potential fire danger. So it shuts down. The computer board will like go, all right, it's too dangerous. I can't do this anymore. I'm quitting. I'm walking off the thing. So rather than, I don't know why they don't have a reset button for it, but it's not my thing. But this is how you reset the computer board. I got on the internet. I found a guy that seemed to know, but he didn't do a video, and it was kind of hard to figure out. So I'm going to do a very basic instructions. What you need to do this, if you think this is your issue. Well, my RV, it didn't get cold, and also I got the code. There's the green light I found on the internet. If it flashes 5 times, it means the motherboard is turned off, and you need to reset it. And that was my theory, and I did fix it. So in this situation, it did. I'm not saying it's going to work for years. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not anything. I'm not an electrician. Do this at your own risk, and you'll be, but that's up to you. First thing, what do you need? Okay, you need a screwdriver, blah, blah, blah. You need like a flathead screwdriver. You need some needle nose pliers. You need a ratchet to get some bolts off. You need the needles to to get some wires off, and you need to get a jumper wire. And so my jumper wire, I started with this, which I thought would be good enough, but it wasn't, because as I start to explain to you about the honeycomb, you need to get the connector. You need like a pin connector. So what I did was I took my multimeter. You should have one. If you don't, you could probably buy something, this wire, by itself. If you don't want to buy a multimeter, just go to the hardware store. But what's going to happen is this guy, let's use the red one, this needle nose will go right into the honeycomb, which you'll see in a while here to get this thing going. It just goes right into the honeycomb. And because this side of this multimeter cord, you don't need the multimeter, you just need the cord. This side, you can't really touch it to the ground, because basically what you're going to be doing, and I'll show you how to do it specifically, is you put the needle nose into this honeycomb pin, and then you ground it. So this won't ground, so what I did was I took this wire, stuck it into this hole, and then I put the other side to the ground, and I'll show you where all that stuff is. Okay, so first thing you want to do is safety first, okay? Unplug your coach. Okay? I don't want to see anybody going up in smoke. I'm saying that you would. I'm not an electrician, as I said before, but I like to be careful. I think you should be too. Okay, unplug your coach. Let that go. I also, because I'm a worrywart, I took the negative cable off of my battery. If you don't know how to do that, I'm sure there's 100 videos on the internet that show you how to disconnect the battery. So not the battery to your engine, but the battery for your coach, because the refrigerator will operate on battery. I don't know if it's necessary, but like I say, I'm safer sorry. Better safe than sorry, as they say. Okay, so that's all you need to get started, and then I'm going to show you really basic and as quickly as possible. Like I said, I hate people that don't get to the point on the internet, and I'm rambling now, so I'll shut up. Okay, so we're outside now, and you need to find the outside of your refrigerator. And if you know where the refrigerator is on the inside, just walk outside, and it's on the back side of the refrigerator. Mine happens to be right here. I need a ladder. I don't know if you do, but if you do, or a step ladder or something, mine isn't real high, but it's a little bit more convenient. You want to take this panel off. This is not a screw. It's not a screw thing. It's like you give it a little half turn. Stick your screwdriver in there, on it, and turn it to about where it's up and down. Okay, like that one is. And the panel comes, well, it should come right out. If it's lined up correctly, there we go. Okay. Now, hold on a second. Come on. Okay, so now we're into the heart of it here. You took the cover off of the RV, and this is what the inside, at least what mine looks like, probably something similar to it. So what you're going to need to do in order to jumpstart it again, the honeycomb that you need to get to is in here. So that means you got to take this cover off, and it was kind of a pain in the butt, but a little patience, and I think you'll be okay. To get it off, first you got to take these wires off. These are, you just kind of get a needle nose in there. Well, first over here, you'll notice that there's electrical outlet. You're plugged in there. That's how you get your electricity. So I already pulled this one out. So just pull this plug out here. Work these wires. Maybe you need a needle nose. Maybe you can do it by hand. Just depends on how much dirt and how long it's been sitting in there and stuff. But just don't pull on the wire. Pull on the connector very gently and just kind of work it back and forth and nice and easy. Don't break anything because then you're shafted. As we all know, we've done it at some point or another ourselves. Then these wires out. Most importantly, remember where they go. Okay, don't get confused. Take a picture of it. Write notes. Put labels on it. Get a label or something and say, red wire top right, whatever. Whatever it takes for you to remember where these wires go. These come out over here. The electrical plug somehow winds around here, but it ends up in this area, and that one was kind of tough to get out too. You got to move this hose out of the way and get a needle nose in there if it isn't coming off real easy. And it did take a little bit of pressure. I didn't force it real hard, but I need to give it a little bit of some oomph to get that one out. Okay, so once the wires are out and you remember where they're at, okay, and your electricity is off in the coach, you're going to have 3 bolts, at least on this model. But find whatever bolts you have keeping this cover on. One's here. One is kind of hidden behind the plug here, and then there was another one up on the top left over here that was kind of hard to get to. I don't know, whatever your model looks like. Mine, I did it okay with the ratchet wrench. I got them all off. It took a little patience because the screws were kind of long and you couldn't get a lot of turning action in it. This one came off obviously really easily, but the other two were kind of a little bit tough. But that's going to get your cover off, okay? So then after that, what you're going to need to do is, because in order to connect, in order to get the motherboard to work, you're going to need electricity again. So after this cover's off, you reconnect all these wires. Imagine the cover's off of here. Plug it back in. Okay, all the wires are in the right spot. And then plug your electricity back into the electrical over here. Okay, so now you're going to need to get electricity to this board. So you got to go back over to your coach and then plug in the unit. Okay, and that's when you're going to find there's a little honeycomb back here, and you take the needle nose, which I showed you in the first video, and you stick it into the appropriate one. Mine was on the top, 2 to the right on the top, and you'll see like a little hole there. You just put that needle nose in there, and then here's your ground. You put the other wire against that. You wait about 10 seconds. Okay, the electricity's on. You wait about 10 seconds, and you should hear it click. If you don't, I don't know what to say. It could be something else, or just try it again. I had to try it 2 or 3 times in order to get a really good connection. So have a little patience. Try it a few times if you need to. It should work on the first one if you do it right. Then you go inside your coach, check to see if your green light is a steady green light, and if it is, voila, you have success. So, and then what I did was I waited till the next day with the cover off in case I needed to redo it or anything, which I didn't. Came back, put the cover on as best I could. I couldn't get one of the bolts in over here, but it's only a cover and it's on fairly good. And I'm going to try to get I need to get a magnetic tool or something in the future to get that other bolt on. But put your wires back in the way they go, and then first I would unplug the coach before I started messing with these wires. I don't think anything bad would happen, but once again, I'm not an electrician, so before you put these wires back in, they should be back in. I'm getting confused now. So they're back in. Your coach is working fine. When you put the cover back on, then you want to disconnect the electricity again, put the cover on as best you can, put the wires back in their place, plug it back in, plug the coach in, and then your refrigerator should be operational. Hope that explains pretty much what's going on with this, and good luck. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'm going to put a link where you can find this guy's information. This is where I got this information on how to redo the motherboard. But once you get the cover off, um, and this is what the motherboard looks like, at least on the model that I have. There's some other examples if you have a different model. So don't, check them all out if you have a different model from me. But this is the honeycomb that I'm talking about. Once you take that black cover off, you'll see this honeycomb. And what I did was, as I said before, it was the second one over to the right from the top, and that's where you want to stick the needle nose. Remember the first video, I got the multimeter, and so the pin connector goes, you can't see inside of this, but there's a little tiny hole in there. You stick the pin connector in there, and then you run your wire down to, remember where I showed you where the ground was? Inside the coach is like a little, there's a green wire attached to it, and there's a little bolt, and you just, first stick the pin in there, and then take your the end of your wire that runs inside of the multimeter wire, and put it on there. And when that connection is good, theoretically you should hear a little click within 10 seconds. And when that happens, you have just reset your motherboard. So go inside after you hear the click, make sure that you have a green light. And if you have a green light, you're good to go. All you got to do then is put it back together again. So good luck, and we'll see what happens to you here. Okay, just kind of doing a little bit extra here. Maybe you should already have a really good idea what's going on, but this is what the actual honeycomb looks like, not in a diagram, in reality. This is the motherboard here. And so what I did was I stuck the connector right into that one for my model. There's other models, as I said before, and I'll give you a link to that. The pin goes in there. You can't really see it, but you can kind of see in this one there's a little tiny hole in there. Stick that pin connector in there, and then down over in this area, you'll see the ground that's connected to a wire. Zing, hit, put this one in first. It's easier. Hit that ground, and wait 10 seconds. Okay, and you should be okay. All right.